sequence.
And the bassline. Create the melody.
Melody programmed.
Now add the people.
Global crowd selection online. Enter access code to share. ASOT. Access granted.
This is A State of Trance podcast with Armin van Buuren.
You tune in to a new episode of the State of Trance podcast with brand new music this week by Eddie Makabi, Ralphie B, Sebastian, Brandt, and a great classic by Mike under his guise Absolute. The first tune came from Omnia and Ira. It's called The Fusion. I asked you guys on Twitter after the celebrations of A State of Trance 550 which track came to mind as the biggest track of A State of Trance 550, and you guys picked this one, and I agree. It's a biggie that'll be in my sets during the summer. Up next, a future favorite of last week's regular show, out soon on Armada, a brand new tune by Fabio XB with Wach and Roman Sokolovsky, Eternal, and a beautiful remix by Andrew Rayel.
A State of Trance podcast.
Great track on S107 recordings. You just heard a new tune by Eddie Makabi featuring Einat called Ecstasy. Every week the highlights from last week's regular show, A State of Trance. This is the podcast. If you want to know where you can tune into the show, have a look at the local frequency list at astateoftrance.com and click on the tab Stations. Thank you for your emails. Maxime Kramer from Geneva, Switzerland sends a shout out to his girlfriend Sophie for 9 years already. Congratulations, guys. Also, Lan from the UK wishes her boyfriend Matt Sokolovsky a very happy birthday. And Dan Vogel from New York wishes his wife Susie happy anniversary. Thank you for 9 amazing years. Irwin McConley sends a shout out to his friend Stephen Dowie. So keep them coming, guys. Send your requests or shouts to armin@astateoftrance.com. And don't forget to mention podcast in your email. Love to hear from you. In a bit, the requested classic of Absolute. But first, Ralph Barendse, aka Ralphie B, with the great track Icarus.
You're tuned in to the highlights of the regular State of Trance radio show. This is the State of Trance podcast with Armin van Buuren. Van Buuren, 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 Van Buuren. State of Trance radio show. This is the State of Trance podcast.
Such an amazing track by Sebastian Brandt. Trance with a capital T, out now in my label A State of Trance. His new tune, Mana. Up next, the podcast classic. You can request a classic for the podcast every week through my email, armin@astateoftrance.com. And this week's classic is requested by Lunian Steel from Romania. Belgian producer Mike has released several tunes under his name, Absolute. And this was one of my absolute favorites too. Absolutely.
Going back in time with a classic. Podcast.
That's it for this week. Next week I'm back with a new State of Trance podcast. In the meanwhile, visit astateoftrance.com for more details about my new mix CD, A State of Trance 2012. See you next week for a new podcast.
For more info and previous editions of the podcast, visit arminradio.com or youtube.com/Armin van Buuren. Until next time.
For more info, check www.armadamusic.com.